Well, there. Hey, y'all, and hey, y'all. That's right. Coming to you from the Dad's Barbecue Land, Martin Luther King Day. We are celebrating here at the Casa de Bacon. I have some fun stuff coming to you. We're supposed to be joining here sometime soon with our favorite blonde on the river. Sandra will be here soon. Anyway, hope everyone is doing well, and we will be up there. We are. I've got my social media stream up. See Rachel and Mary Jo. Guess what we're going to be talking about today, folks? That's right, the ban on Kyle Rittenhouse and why it's okay for them to have the trans drag queen story hour stuff, but it's not okay to let somebody discuss what physically happened to them while they were present during the riots of 2020. Anyhow, and let's actually make sure we go live. I've got a young lady that just joined in with us. Y'all know her best as Miss Sandra Witten. How are you doing, Miss Witten?
Well, hey y'all, or should I say, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Hey, did you tell everybody that today was Monday?
Today's Monday. What is today significant of?
Today's Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
That's right, MLK.
Are you
Martin Luther
pumped
King. I am pumped up. As a matter of fact, let me see here. What were we looking at earlier? That's right.
Oh no.
That's right. Martin Luther King.
What's happening here?
Was taken from us way too soon. Yeah.
He did want you to love everybody, like Spoonie Love. Y'all remember Spoonie Love from Crank Yankers?
No, nobody watched that crap. Anyway,
you know, on a serious note, there was this beautiful woman. She was on Spectrum One this morning. I was watching her, and she was 90 years old, and she's been in the same house since I think since the 60s or the 70s, and she's in San Antonio. She gets to watch the MLK parade come right past her front porch every single year, and she said that she's, like I said, she's 90 years old, and she said, I just do what Martin Luther King taught us, and that was to love everybody regardless. And that's what we have to do, and that's the only way that we're going to change things. And she just had this beautiful story, and she said, you have to treat that, she said it exactly like this, you have to treat everybody with love, L-O-V-E, love. So.
L-O-V-E, love. That is correct. Yeah. Well, what do we have going on at today in your schedule there?
Well, as you guys know, today's the Montgomery County Tea Party, so I am heading that direction because I have to make sure that Miss Patty, really I'm just going so Miss Patty can make sure that she gets to see her club operate smoothly. That's it.
Oh, so you're the eyes and ears then, huh?
I'm the eyes and ears. I'm Miss Patty's covert spy. Y'all best behave.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I talked to Miss Patty. I texted with Miss Patty this morning, and she said that she loves and misses everybody. Maybe me the most.
And she is in the chat. She's saying thank you. You are her favorite tattletale Texan, I guess that's what she's going to label you as.
I don't think that. I'm not reading and driving at all. But I'm certain that she's not calling me the tattletale Texan.
Nope. But that's the triple T. But
triple T. I do like that. The tattletale Texan.
Man. And today, Miss Rachel is angry. So we don't know why, but she's just angry.
Bring her on. She's angry. We might be angry. We could all be angry together.
Yeah. No, it was kind of comical that they had the events happen in Austin. They were there working with things, and next thing I know, where are we at? Well, next thing I know, they are physically working against us from the start. we saw that there was a group of legislators that made campaign promises to ban Democrat chairs, and now we have less than 6 that stuck with those promises when they could. I did hear from one of them, one of my favorites. They could not get to the floor to vote because of how the vote was going. So anyhow, oh my gosh, we've got Miss Norma is up.
Our favorite Super South Texan.
Wait. She's so super South. She wrote the words "hola."
I don't think that's hola. I think it's hola.
Nah, you people on the Rio Grande, y'all got your own language anyway.
We say what we want.
Anyway, no, yeah, here we are. It was last week was a big week.
So wait a minute. I have a problem with this. Are you telling me that legislators allegedly couldn't get back to their desks to vote? Why?
Well, I mean, it's picture day. The families are around a whole bit, so who knows? We'll actually have those opportunities to be able to. We'll have those opportunities to be able to discuss that with people.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Wait. Bridget says, she says, here we go. Bam. We love our little tattletale Texan. He said, what in the world?
I freaking love it. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on a second though. I have a hard time. We may have to impose a new rule that families can't come on the days of early vote. I mean, on voting days. Then, maybe that's what we need to do. If the families are going to be impeding the business of the state, then maybe they shouldn't be allowed to hang around. I'm serious. It's a heart attack. Literally, the rules for the freaking whole entire session were being decided on in pictures were more. They couldn't. They had to take pic. I'm not okay with this, Walter.
Hey, look, it's one of my favorite San Jacinto County business owners there in Cleveland, Mr. Tommy Bowen. He has the crossing up there. Some of the best, some of the best sandwiches and dried goods you could think of. That is the true marketplace. Tommy,
they had welcome. Didn't they have like a spicy jam or something that we added to like a turkey sandwich? It was amazing.
I've still got a little bit left, very little bit left.
Tommy, I don't know what you do, but do more of it.
Yep, I think those are those people down in Rockport. He gets from. Remember, he grabs people from Texas and puts their. He's kind of like a very, very small HEB. You know, back whenever it used to be Mr. Butts from the 1920s and the 1910s. Back when HEB was actually a Texas store. And trust me, Tommy's not the kind of guy that'll ever go woke. He'll go broke before he goes woke.
It was almost like we just shared the exact same thought at the exact same moment. I was going to be, my comment was going to be, oh, like a conservative HEB.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even. Yeah, no. We won't even say that. As a matter of fact, we need to get rid of those.
That anymore.
They're just another 3-letter agency, you know. It's you got the ATF, the FBI, you got the KGB, and now HEB.
You know what? I want to talk about it for a second. Well, here's what makes me mad. So you know what? Thank you for letting me voice my opinion on my own show. All right, so here's the rub, guys, is that when you have these in South Texas specifically, especially in Laredo, oh gosh, especially in Laredo, we have the problem where big government, including big local government, has completely shut it down so that there's no competition coming into the city. For the last 14 years that I've lived in Laredo, I've been promised that we were going to get a Kroger. That's never happened. There are 2 grocery stores in Laredo, major grocery stores. There's HEB and there is Walmart. Now, if you don't shop at either one of those, you can go to the mom and pop stores. And mom and pop stores are fantastic. I love them for a last minute thing. I think they're great. Hey, John Boucher. But the problem is that mom and pop grocery stores are very difficult for extremely budget conscious families who, especially large budget conscious families. It makes it more difficult for them to shop at these mom and pop grocery stores. That's the way this was all set up. So it's not a slam on the mom and pop places. If you can shop mom and pop, please do. But if your only 2 options are Walmart and HEB, what are you supposed to do when they are both incredibly woke? starve, start a commune. You can't do that with an HOA. I can't even have chickens. Stupid $10 for a dozen organic eggs. I'm trying not to rant. It's Manic Monday. Manic Madness Monday. Manic Monday.
Just another Manic Monday.
Well, I just wanted to pop in for a second.
I'm mad about it.
You guys are making a difference out there. We have our reps now showing up at Tea Party meetings wanting to speak, to talk about what's going on in Austin. We've needed that for a long time. They need to address the grassroots. But this is all the pressure you guys are putting to bear out there, calling out the woke mob and what's happening at Southern Star Brewery. I couldn't believe that they announced that they were going out of business. Well, they announced that they don't share our values in the reddest county in the nation, which they might as well announce they're going out of business. Yeah, that was a horrible move. And it looks to me like you guys are talking about HEB supposedly behind the scenes twisted their arm and said, if you guys don't pull this, then we're not going to distribute your beer. But then they came back, and I guess HEB called them and said, don't you drag us down with you. You better not say that. So then Southern Star issued a statement saying, no, it had nothing to do with that. You just don't share our values. So they left them hanging out there, dangling, looks like to me. What do you think, Walter?
Oh no, it's totally, and you know the fun part is they have no clue. They have no clue what they've done. I actually know several different brands that brew their beer at Southern Star Brewery, and and it's because they're so large they can make it happen. Now remember, Southern Star could not get into Conroe, Texas, the way they got into Conroe, Texas, without the grassroots activists, the ones that they're now crapping on. That helped them get the legislation crossed so that they could actually use their brewery with the rooms that they've got. So you know, it was our group that helped them get where they are, and now they want to take a dump on us just because we want to listen to a kid who got caught in the middle of a place where the police were there. There were no police. This is what was going on, and he was taking care of the community that he was in, that he was attached to at that time. And either way, there was a police chief that took a picture with him, put a picture on his official city page, and then ended up having to defend what he did because he said, hey, the kid was acquitted. You know, he was tried, he was run through the court system, and he was acquitted after the mainstream media is the one who roped this into a big frenzy. And he was not convicted by a jury of his peers. He was convicted by a jury of adults because he was 17 years old. And to become a juror, you're not allowed to actually be on the panel if you're under 18. And I believe you have to be a registered voter too. But bottom line is Kyle Rittenhouse is coming in. They're discussing this. And what is HEB known for? HEB is known for the drag queen. How they're pushing that agenda in the libraries and the schools.
Hang on a second.
All across the state.
Time out. So Southern Star Brewery issued a statement saying that this isn't consistent with our values.
Yeah.
So let's break that down. So exercising your Second Amendment right, defending yourself after being assaulted with a skateboard and having your life threatened with a gun pulled on you
by a felon.
That's not consistent with their values.
Right.
Okay. So just making sure. So I don't want to patronize that place. I will not give them another nickel because my values are, I'm not going to let somebody kill me.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Now, John, but do you know what values they do hold dear?
I did see they had a pride deal. Yeah. I did see that. They had a pride event there.
So that's fine. That's, and you know, here's the thing is that we can kind of poke fun and be like, you know what, this is some BS and whatever. But I mean, stop and think about that for a second. You know what? You're right. Every single business has the right to refuse service. Every single business has the right to do whatever they want to do. Right? That's exactly what we fight for. Absolutely. But you cannot sit here and say, oh, you know what, we're just a brewery, and the only thing that we're into is brewing beer. Really? Then you can know that. Then with that being your motto, you can't support or do anything else. No more LGBTQ plus pride stuff. No more hetero. I mean, just you have to be mute now. If that's your true stance, then you can't speak out for anything.
So that's the libertarian way. I want to see what happens on the day a drag queen kills an abortion doctor. What's the left side? What's the woke crowd going to do?
Yeah. Nope.
I have so many jokes wrapped up into what you just said. Like so many images and
I
excuses of
set
like
them up,
bad
Iceman.
mascara running down my face or my face, not my face, down their face, and be like, you killed my baby. I couldn't get pregnant with. Like,
Well,
there's so many things.
Did you catch the biased reporting also? The Houston Chronicle reported about the issue saying, Kyle Rittenhouse to speak, right-wing activists, really blew it up. And then when they canceled it, they came out and announced that was canceled. But then they came back and said, Southern Star Brewery is receiving an inordinate amount of threats and hate mail because of canceling the event. So they didn't talk about the hate mail and threats that precipitated the canceling of the event, but they're characterizing people calling the Southern Star Brewery and saying, hey, I won't shop there anymore. I'm not going there anymore because of what you did. That is hateful and threats.
Well, and here was one of the things that, and just because we kind of had the backdoor conversation a little bit, one of the things that I blatantly said was,
did you say backdoor conversation?
That's the new pillow talk. Was that Stephen Walter? I told the friend of ours who was talking to us about this. I said, "Here's the deal." I said, because they said that Southern Star was freaking out because all they were getting was hate mail and hate calls and X, Y, and Z. And I said, how could they possibly get any and pull out because they're not getting support from their regular people? Their regular people have no idea what phone calls they're receiving. They don't.
Everybody's characterizing this as an assault on the First Amendment. It's not. It's a free market decision by Southern Star Brewery that they do not want business from people like us. And I respect that. That's fine. This is what we fight for. We want free market principles. They certainly have a right to tell Kyle Rittenhouse that he's not welcome there. But in doing so, they're telling me and Walter and everybody else, I've hosted events there before. I've gone to many events there. I will never do it again because I'm not welcome there. So,
well, and
here's the thing. I don't want to get confused about this First Amendment right thing because that's where they trap us into the corner and say, well, it's a First Amendment right. No, I can't go to work, and I don't work for anybody, but if I did, I couldn't go to work and tell my boss to piss off and curse out all the customers. I do not have a First Amendment right for that. My boss can do what he wants. My business can do what they want. Southern Star Brewery made a decision that they do not want people who will defend themselves and be acquitted, exonerated in court in their place. And I'm one of those people because I will not allow somebody to beat me in the head with a skateboard and shoot me. I will not allow it. So I'm not.
Well, and keep in mind
you're a fascist, John.
Yeah, that's me.
So keep in mind this. They decided to open up and start business in the reddest county in the nation. And this is what happens when you come on our turf and you say, hey, we're actually not one of you after we help you get to where you are. So the best part is if they want to, they can travel south of the Craze and Dixon line that we have called Harris County, and they can open up down there. They can enjoy Harris County's taxes. They can endure Rodney Ellis. They can endure Lena Hidalgo, and they can certainly endure the protection of the Houston Police Department, which let downtown Houston go to become a bastion of who knows what the heck that is. They can even move into Sheila Jackson Lee's district. I'm sure she would welcome a very woke brewery down there, although she doesn't drink beer. Between Cavassier and Mad Dog is what that woman likes to drink. But the flip side would be that they can physically, if they so chose, they could physically just move into Harris County because the crime rate down there would mean that they would have to spend more money to protect their patrons that come in there, because there are a lot of breweries down there in Houston that have opened up, St. Arnold's, all that stuff. And you know what? They don't have these issues because they're in the middle of the woke mob, and they don't have a bad pullout game, as Rachel says.
Bridget says there's a difference between doing nothing right and doing what is right. You're correct, Bridget. Yeah, and they did not do what's right, and so we shouldn't spend money there. I 100% agree with you.
Yep.
But they have a right to do it. They have a right to. If they went to the door tomorrow and said, "I don't want another Republican shopping here," okay, that's their right. And when you fight against that, then all of a sudden you're into this whole thing about baking cakes for people and stuff, and forcing the government forcing you to use your labor for things that you don't believe in. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. Whether it's this Southern Star Brewery making a stupid decision, or a gay couple coming in and saying that they want a cake baked by some Christians, as we see time and time again. I don't want to see it. It's free. It's a free market. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Get the hell out if you don't like it.
Well,
Yep.
you know, we talk about it in different aspects. As you guys know, Austin is a big baseball guy, and he's got his big tryout tomorrow. So everybody say big prayers for my booger tomorrow. But, you know, we went in to go and get him new cleats. The cleats that he had don't fit him anymore. His shoe size has gone up 3 times since last season when we got him cleats again. So anyway, so we're in academy, and he says, well, Mom, you know, kind of what's my budget? And I said, cheap, whatever you can find that's cheap. Of course, he's in men's shoe sizes, so it's not cheap anyway. And he finds a pair of Nike cleats, and they were a nice pair looking cleats, but they were they were the cheapest ones that they had in his size. And I looked over, and I happened to see a pair of Under Armour. They were $5 more, and which I prefer Under Armour anyway. They're $5 more. And I said, hey, they've got this one in your size. Get this one. And he looks and he goes, oh, well, this actually looks really nice. He goes, but seriously, Mom? He goes, are you still really, you know, stuck on this thing about Nike? And I said, absolutely, I am. And I will be probably until the day that I die. I said, because this is how we make the message loud and clear. No more supporting businesses that crap all over our constitutional rights. No more supporting businesses that say, hey, you know what? Cops are trash. Let's kneel. Let's crap all over them. Let's make a mockery out of the national anthem. And hey, you know what? Let's support a white privileged guy who's claiming that he's been beat down because he's black when he's never known a day of poverty in his life, or being crapped on a day in his life. No, I have a hard time with that. So yeah, I'm going to spend the extra $5 to get you Under Armour cleats so that I don't show Nike that business. And it's just one pair of cleats, but that makes the difference. It starts with one.
Hell to the yeah. Well,
And it does start with one.
Very long, but I did want to just bounce in. I've got workers coming to my place here, and I got a whole list of fun stuff to do today, which I've been working on diligently. And I'm actually, you know, my mom, she's a lot older. She's had some medical issues. I'm dealing with all that today. So, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging out there by yourself. I wanted to get in and tell you guys what's going on. So tonight we do have Rep. Steve Toth at the Tea Party meeting. He's going to be there. To address activists and what's happening in Austin. Walter's enjoying himself way too much with that. I am working on some things for the RPT right now that there's some changes coming. There's also some things I can't talk about on the air right now, but they're pretty exciting. They're pretty exciting. And yeah, there's a lot going on right now. So I do have an attorney right now working on some legislation changes because we got to get those in quickly.
Yes.
You know, it's depressing to me. The RPT expresses that they want to do these things, and then they do nothing about it. And it's like those old Western dentists where they're on the chair just pulling on the teeth. That's what I feel like, and I don't really have time for it. I run 2 businesses, have a band, got nonprofits. You know, I have a lot going on, but it's outrageous to me when you say, okay, y'all have expressed this. What are y'all doing about it? And they go, well, nothing. We're not, nothing. It's annoying to me. So I may just run for state chair at some point because, I would actually do the job. I know it's crazy, isn't it? So we all have a good one. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate you, and we'll hopefully see you tonight. God bless you.
We'll do that.
See you soon, my friend.
We'll see you tonight. Hey, and now we're going to have a little word from our sponsor before we get our good buddy, Mr. Dave Roberts, on to find out exactly what Southern Star decided to say before they went woke in public. All righty, folks, here we are. And you are back with the Bacon Master. Here we are. Folks, we are we're actually going to wait for Miss Sandra to join us back. She's obviously in the dead territory down there in Laredo, and we are soon to have Mr. Dave Roberts with Defiance Press. He was actually the one who was hosting this event, which was to feature several veterans that were speaking, and it was actually called an anti-censorship rally. So the fact that they first took his money and then threw it by the wayside, that's where we're in. And Sandra, actually, you popped in and popped out. That's actually, you totally disappeared on my screen as well, so that's kind of cool. But
magical,
very much so magical. So what do we have here? Ken Ernest will be speaking tonight. Toth will be allowed to speak after the business meeting, so that will be fun. Anyway, and he's gotten a lot about how he's voted up there this past week, the games that are played, and people are actually finding out that there's a lot of backdoor games. They like to dangle the carrot. Sometimes they like to insert it, but there's a lot of backdoor games that are being played up there at the state capitol. And what you see in public as the shiny object is not actually what's happening in the back room. If you look at where you're physically, following the money on these different specifically these campaigns, you'll find out there's a group of these reps that ran on, we support our veterans, and then whenever a veteran came into play, there was the transgender children's bill that nobody fought for. The Stephanie Click's public health committee actually it didn't pass out of their committee late. They had the votes for it. They specifically said they had the votes for it. Now you're finding people are forgetting what happened back in May and in June. And so with that being said, now we're learning the truth because we physically get to see how people are voting, and we're finding that they're not voting the way they said they were going to do so. So anyhow, Sandra, I'll toss that back to you until we have Dave come on.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up a little bit, and I don't want to jump ahead of where I don't know what you put up when I wasn't on there or not, but when we start seeing, I actually shared a post the other day. I'm the one that put it on Texas Fully Loaded, and then I shared it to Sandra for Texas. And on both of them, I made it very clear. We're sick and tired of campaign speeches and empty promises when you get there. I don't give two craps what your voting record looks like if you're not willing to whip and fight for the vote. Like, that's all well and good. Oh, you and 3 people voted. Well, whoop-de freaking, or you and 18 people voted. Well, whoop-de freaking do. Were you out there whipping the vote? Because this is about more than just doing that. The constituents are not supposed to be the only ones that are whipping the votes. If you can't get up there and do your job with the other legislators, then what the hell are you doing up there? Seriously, quit making deals for yourself. Quit screwing over the people who are actually fighting with you and for you, and actually get into Austin, get into Washington, D.C., and do your part. That's all we want from you. Don't just show me your voting record. Show me what you did to get that voting record. Show me how you're fighting to get other people on board with your voting record in office.
Yes.
Worthless piece of.
We've actually talked to people like Jeff Younger, who during that time frame, whenever they were trying to get these things passed, there were several legislators saying, "Hey, no, I'm pulling my bill. We're going to go with I signed on to so and so's bill. I'm going to be a co-author on that one." And they were weaker bills, especially whenever it comes into the child mutilation, gender mutilation.
No, but the verbiage was close.
Yeah. So the verbiage may have been close, but it had so many hidden packs in there. And if you look at what's going on, people were against Dade Phelan being voted in his chair. There were only 3 conservatives that stood up. And right now I know that there is a rift in the Freedom Caucus. And then if you look at the Conservative Partnership Institute, CPI, Texas is the only one that they do not work hand in hand with the Texas Freedom Caucus in the state house. And there's a reason for that, because the Texas House Freedom Caucus has been overtaken by a bunch of rhinos. And I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna leave that right there because we have a special guest coming on. Mr. Dave, can you hear me? Test, test, 1, 2.
You need to feed him in, Walt.
Well, bam! Look at that.
There he is.
He looks like Black Bart right there.
He looks like the man, the myth, the legend.
My Johnny Cash look, okay?
I like it. I like it. How you doing, friend? We haven't seen you in a while.
Good. How are y'all?
Pretty good. We're stirring up the pot, but then you were like, "Hey, hold my whiskey. I've got some extra stirring to do."
It's been an interesting week. Actually, it's been an interesting 2 weeks for us. So crazy stuff.
Well, before we climb into that, tell us who you are. Tell us what you do. Tell us why you're known as a good old fashioned pot stirrer, and then we'll get into what's happening with Kyle and all that fun stuff.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur, multiple business owner, cattle rancher. I've been involved in conservative politics for many years. On the donor side for sure, but definitely behind the scenes activist. I've never run for office, never will. Was very heavily involved in the Tea Party movement, especially early on. And so I've just remained active in constitutional issues. And I founded a publishing company in 2011 because nobody would, my experience with the liberal publishing elite was not a good one. And so we found a niche for conservative authors, conservative publishers, and now Defiance Press is the largest independent conservative publisher in the world.
Congratulations. Good for you.
Thank you.
Well, good for America too, because now we get real bucks.
That's based out of right here in downtown Montgomery County, Texas. Isn't that right?
It's in Conroe. That's off the Loop in Conroe. We used to be downtown. Now we're on the Loop.
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking downtown Libertyville, Montgomery County, Texas. So yeah,
there you go.
The nation's most reddest county, and we have somebody
Well,
like Southern.
I would argue with that. I would argue with that. I know our local politicians like to say that, but there's not a district that sends Kevin Brady to Congress for 26 years that can claim to be the most conservative district in the country.
Well, hey, at least we got
kiddies.
At least we got him out. I was very happy to see Morgan Luttrell up there. We all got the famous picture of
him. And you think that's better? You think that's going to be better?
But he during nap time, whenever the House was in between votes,
the eye patch, he will follow the eye patch guy. I'm just telling you.
So, we like to call him Starfish.
Do you know what the difference between Morgan Luttrell is and our state reps in Texas?
No.
He at least made it to the floor to vote when it was his turn to vote for the rules.
Good. Good for him.
Yeah, because
I mean, he may not have known what he was voting for, but he at least showed up to vote on the floor, unlike our Texas state legislatures.
Yeah.
Useless.
Well, that and we also found that Dan Crenshaw couldn't show up for one of his votes. So
actually, I would encourage him not to show up for any votes.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
Because
keep the hookers coming, and he won't.
Yep. So anyway, so speaking of,
let me know if I'm being too direct on your show here. I don't want to take off your viewers.
Oh no, we have a very colorful thing, a very colorful formulation of language that come out. And as a matter of fact, I've got Sandra muted because that god awful laugh of hers. I think she's going to choke on a locust if she's got her windshield down.
Well,
or something.
I just don't want to see her crash.
No, that actually would be pretty funny because right now she's going through Goliad, so that would be the place to roll. But no, Dave, tell us a little bit about what all's going on and what all happened that created this whole issue.
Well, for the last 3 years, we have held a rally against censorship. Actually, this was going to be our third year. And the reason that we've done this is because a lot of our authors have received cancellations and censorship, not just in social media, not just in media in general, but we've actually seen it from booksellers. And I'll give you a perfect example. Daniel Miller, whose book Texit we published, who has the distinct honor of being we had 9 #1 Amazon bestsellers this last 12 months. Daniel Miller's book Texit has the unique attribute that that book's hit #1 6 times. And part of the reason is because Amazon keeps doing things to kill it. We fix it, and then it storms back as #1. So 6 times that book's been #1 in that genre. For a while, Amazon put a $333 price on his book, which obviously killed it for sales, and it took us weeks to get it off. And after we fixed it, it shot back to #1 again. So they do things like this. We've had booksellers that have basically in a bad way shelved our book or made it unavailable or did things like the Amazon pricing. And we've seen it at events. We've seen it for the book retailers. We've seen it for the book buyers, the corporate buyers for the large book chains, that kind of thing. So what we do every year is do this rally, bring this back to light. We let the authors come up and speak for those who have experienced this, but more importantly, it's an opportunity for the general public to meet some of these authors and get exposed to some of these books that they wouldn't normally be. So we celebrate these authors. Some of them have really taken some steps to go out on a limb to get a book published that may not be politically correct and enrages the woke mob. And so we do that to celebrate them and to expose them to the readers.
Well, and that's actually kind of comical you say that, because the brewery Southern Star you've got, right now we've got the big drag queen issues going on in Texas, where they've been going to libraries for the past 6 years. It's been on a minute scale, and now it's becoming this huge item. As a matter of fact, and we'll get into the HEB side of things, because they're trying to protect HEB, but we physically have Charles Butts, who and remember, it's HEB. They have the HEB buddy or the HE Butts buddy. So we have to look at what HEB's been doing, what Southern Star Brewery's been doing. They've had these pride drag queen shows. And the thing is these guys move into red counties and they try to blue pill us. And this is Southern Star specifically worked off the legislation that the Grassroots Initiative brought about to allow their breweries to become, to host events there. That used to not be a thing. They used to have a visitation, but you couldn't host shows. You couldn't use their brews. These are things that legislation that was passed here in Texas, and they want to pick and choose, and that's fine. But now they're saying their values don't line up. So where are we at on how did we get to this point?
I gotta, most people don't know the story. We were actually canceled before Southern Star. So originally we had the event scheduled at B52 Brewery in Conroe, and we actually had a contract for them to host this event. And then I got an email after the contract had been done. And I don't know if this book comes through, you can't probably see this, and I don't know if you can pull it up, Walter, but this is a book that we published called Looks Like a Cheetah to Me. And it was published by a father-son, and it was published back about 5 or 6 months ago. And the general manager of B52 sent us an email and says, because of your book, now we publish hundreds of books, hundreds. And he says, because of your book, and to be inclusive in nature and all the kind of same things you heard from Southern Star, this was before Southern Star. they canceled us. And so I asked the manager, I said, well, does your owner know you're doing this? I said, first of all, I said, I'm gonna let the community know, because this is a fairly conservative community, that you're gonna cancel us because you don't agree with one of the books that we publish. And that book, by the way, is a satirical look, and it was done by the 15-year-old son. Actually drew all the illustrations in it. It's a satirical look at biological males in female sports, and it's really cleverly done, and it doesn't trash transgenders at all. But it's also, as we all know, it's not fair to the female athletes. And so it goes through there and as a children's book, and explains that. And it's done very, very tastefully and done very well. Well, they picked out that book and said, and he said, no, I said, well, first of all, that's not one of the books that's going to be featured at the rally. And that author actually is not even going to be there. So maybe I need to move over here, huh? So they said, I said, that book's not coming. That author's not coming. That book's not even going to be the one of the books featured at the event. But I find it curious that you're singling out one book. And so the general manager says, well, send me who the authors are, what books you're going to promote in the agenda for the event. And I said, you could kick rocks. You're not getting any of that from me. And I said, in fact, you need to have the owner call me. And he says, no, I'm not going to. I said, well, I mean, either you have him call me or I'm going to contact him. And he says, are you threatening us? I said, I don't know how you're interpreting that to be a threat, that I'm going to go find him. I mean, I can go to the Secretary of State's office and find out who owns the brewery. That's not hard to do. And eventually the owner did call me from the slopes. He was snowboarding in Colorado, and called me very irritated and ranting and raving. And so that was the first thing. So then we went, well, let's go to Southern Star, because I've been to at least two Republican events at Southern Star. I know Daniel Miller and the Nationalist Movement had an event there. And so I talked to their event manager there. And at the time, by the way, on the B-52, Kyle Rittenhouse had not been booked yet. We were still working on getting that deal done. In between the time that B-52 canceled us and Southern Star accepted, we got Kyle, and I was very upfront with Southern Star. I said, look, here's who's gonna be. Kyle Rittenhouse is going to be featured speaker, and they assured me that wouldn't be any problem. No problem. There was never any. Sorry, I had a cat trying to get up here. There was never any. There was no. I've seen some posts, and I'm not sure. I haven't followed what Southern Star has been throwing out there, but there was no effort to hide that. It was up front. They knew it. Welcomed it, was never an issue. Okay. Then I got a couple of calls about the concerns they were getting over some of the pressure they were getting from other sources. And one of the things they asked me to do was take the logo off, the Southern Star logo off any promotion for the event, which I agreed to do. But 24 hours later, I get a call from them saying that they're going to have to cancel it. They can't host it. And I said, they're making a big deal because no deposit was made. They never asked me for a deposit. They just said, here it is. It's pretty much a handshake deal. They weren't requiring anything, but man, everything had already been planned down to the caterers and everything else. So so I asked again for the owner to call me. He calls me and he said, listen, we're just getting a ton of heat. And I said, his name is Dave also. I said, Dave, I just can't imagine that you're getting heat from this community. He says, well, it's not coming from this community. It's coming from Houston. And it's coming from my largest customer, HEB. And I said, really? I mean, now, honestly, I didn't even know that their beer was carried in HEB. I haven't been down an HEB beer aisle, and I can't tell you, I'm a bourbon drinker, so I don't go down beer aisles much, and I'm usually not going to catch me in HEB either. So he said, yeah, he says, in fact, that their buyer, the guy that they deal with at HEB, and now this is him telling me this, okay? their HEB buyer informed them that they would stop carrying the brand if we went ahead with this rally with Kyle Rittenhouse. And I said, all right, I get it. Okay. I mean, listen, I'll be the first one to tell you that any business has a right to serve a customer, not serve a customer. That's never been my issue. And had it stopped right there, I just would have scheduled another venue, which we did. Now we're at the Lone Star Exhibition Center in Conroe. The event has obviously grown and because of the controversy. But I have no qualms about a business saying they won't. So if this goes back, people keep throwing the gay wedding cake thing at me. I get it, and there's not an ounce of me that has any compunction with saying I agree with Southern Star's right to cancel an event, serve a customer, not serve a customer. I don't care. We would just move it on to another event. It's disappointing, but I move it to another event. But less than 24 hours later, their social media came out and said that our rally didn't represent their values. And that's where you lit my fire. Okay. That a rally with this has a U.S. Navy SEAL that has all these outstanding authors and Kyle Rittenhouse, who's acquitted of the crime that he was accused of, and you're telling me it doesn't represent your values. And then we come to find out that they held a pride event, and they've had two other events that I've attended that were Republican or you can consider conservative. And to me, it was completely disingenuous. It was an attempt to smear us, and I wasn't going to stand for it. So then now you saw the social media war that came out, and it's been, and this media will continue through this week. You just wait and see. The media has gone great. It's gone great for us. And it's one thing to say that the thing doesn't represent your values. Well, they sure didn't tell us that when we booked the event there. It was only when they got this outside pressure that all of a sudden our event didn't align with their values. And so be it. That's fine. We moved the event and thank you, Southern Star, because now, and B52, because now the event has blown up. We've had to get a larger space. I've picked up another 100,000 Twitter followers. It's book sales are off the chart, and people want to come hear what Kyle has to say. So thank you, Southern Star. I don't care, but I won't be canceled, and we won't sit back and let this and this narrative. I think a couple places I've read where he claimed he never told me about the HEB. That's a lie. Well, I'm telling you, I guess I should have recorded the call, because how would I know? I have no idea who they sell their beer through, and that they sold beer through HEB. If he wants to claim that we made that up, I don't care. Okay. The event goes on. It's going to be bigger than ever. And thank you, Southern Star. I appreciate it.
Well, and what's comical is we physically have several folks that we know of, veterans, as a matter of fact, who brew their brand at Southern Star because their brewery is not that big, and they provide it into HEB. And so I've started making those calls to those guys to say, hey, I know this is a money issue. They're able to handle the other side, but what would it take to get you some new investors to pull you out of Southern Star? And on the flip side of that is, what would it take to get you into a different store? Bottom line is, HEB, they have a very strong lobbying team. Charles Butts is one of the biggest perverts. I mean, his last name says it all. He's one of the biggest perverts we've got in the state house legislature, in the state legislature here in Texas. And, they have all their touchy-feely commercials and whatnot. They obviously provide good products. We have people from California. Jocko Willing puts his protein fuel in there. I mean, is that Navy SEAL? Is he okay with the fact that they've banned Navy SEALs? That they've banned Cassandra? She's a veteran. We're not all gonna. We're not. There's a cow on the road. We're not all going to be.
We're going to get to see a live road rage incident here.
Oh wait. Hey, when she whips out the Tiffany blue 9mm, it's all over with. She's going to go gangbusters and Goliad. That'll be my new book, Gangbusters and Goliad. It'll be trying to bust her out of Sheriff Roy Boyd's jail down there, because he'll keep her. But no, the bottom line is HEB in some areas of Texas, it was a great historical show. But I mean, this is obvious that the family has gone way far to the left. They're open borders. They're trying to provide for the drag queen story hours. They're trying to provide for all these pervert events where they bring children in. I mean, who wants to take nobody takes their kids to a strip club, but yet HEB comes in and helps to fund this in different places around the state. So it is time that the conservatives speak up. And you know what? I say use the tactics of the left. I mean, don't go to burn down a business, but then don't let Kyle Rittenhouse come and protect them against that either. So and see where they are in downtown Conroe then, because we've got police chiefs from around the nation that have posted pictures with Kyle when he comes through their town, and they're proud of the kid. He stood up.
Listen,
I've
gotten to know Kyle. Kyle's been on my ranch hunting. He's a great kid. People are going to love hearing from Kyle. And really, the one thing I would tell people is that you haven't heard the real story. Wait till you hear what really happened. Wait till you hear how prosecutors withheld evidence. Wait till you hear all the things that went on behind the scenes that wasn't picked up by the general media. Kyle's very fortunate that he's not sitting in a prison cell for the rest of his life. Very fortunate. We have corrupt prosecutors, corrupt government. I really encourage people to hear the format that we're going to do this in is going to be fascinating. For those that register for VIP tickets, you'll get to get your picture taken and get to meet Kyle personally. The event's gotten very large. It's going to be a great event. Walter, going back to HEB, I learned about HEB originally because their chairman supported sanctuary cities. And that's where we got, and that's where I first heard about HEB's political involvement and where they sit on things. It's been tough. So now I also didn't know that HEB carried all these foo beer flavors that Southern Star produces, and
Texas Punch.
I don't know. I saw all these cans. I'm like, what is this? It looks like what was the name that I was growing up? The Hawaiian red drink that we used to drink.
Hawaiian Punch.
Hawaiian Punch. There you go. I said, wow, there's all kinds of different flavors here. So, and to be honest with you, all their beers in cans, which I can't stand beer in cans anyway. If I'm gonna drink a beer, it's gonna be out of a bottle, and it's gonna be from Shiner, Texas. So there you go.
Well, Miss Patty, we have good news for you. One of the comments that I can see is that Miss Patty said, "Oh man, I wish I was going to be there." Texas Fully Loaded has been given permission to actually air the event, so you guys are going to get to see it right on our social media feeds, hopefully on our website if I can figure out that madness.
Well, you got a few days. So that
a couple of days.
Is January 26th at 6 p.m. Get there early at the Lone
It
Star.
is a Thursday.
It's a Thursday night, right? At Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe near the airport.
The key is going to be make sure you take off Friday, and so we'll go throughout Conroe, downtown Conroe, and we'll just make a big conservative boom out of it, and we'll say things like, support the police, the thin blue line, stuff like that. Who knows? We might even have barbecues instead of burning buildings down, and instead of throwing bricks, we'll probably But you know what we could do is if you so choose. I would say leave a door hanger at Southern Star as we cancel out what they're doing that night.
Well, don't forget B-52, because B-52 started this whole process too. So they're just as woke as Southern Star. There's one other brewery in Conroe, and they were willing to host our event. It's Copperhead Brewery, but the facility wasn't large enough. So they had no problem with the event. So I would, my beer is coming from Copperhead Brewery or Shiner, Texas.
Love it. Well, I do have a question, Dave. That Cheetah book, is that going to be available for people to purchase now?
Yes.
Since that's kind of the show that started it all, if you will.
Yes.
Down this journey. I think that's going to be exciting.
Unfortunately, the author can't get in a schedule to be there, but the book will be there.
Fantastic. I'm getting one.
Sweet. And all those illustrations were done by a 15-year-old?
Yes. Father and son.
Wow.
Son. Yeah. So, and it's a great book. And we've gotten a lot of grief over the book, which, in the book selling business, controversy is good. So
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Well, Dave, that's kind of awesome. Who are your other speakers besides
we've got a
Daniel
great
Miller?
lineup. We've got former Navy SEAL, American hero Justin Sheffield, who'll be there. Constitutional attorney Robert Bernhoft will be there speaking. Daniel Miller will be speaking, and Cassandra Spencer. There'll be a good introduction for Cassandra. Cassandra is our publishing manager, and we got her from Project Veritas. She was deeply involved in the abortion body parts expose that Veritas that she helped uncover. And also she worked at Facebook and was a Facebook undercover whistleblower. So, and she's actually going to do an on-stage interview of Kyle, which will be fascinating.
Oh, sweet.
She's an investigative journalist by trade. And so it's going to be a fascinating evening. Also,
Now,
we have Daniel Miller's attorney that's suing Facebook. He's going to say a few words too.
Yeah, Facebook. That was you saw during the Sanders campaign. You helped out a bit with us. We went for 3 years without being able to buy anything for her campaign through Facebook because they kept claiming she lived in Mexico of all places, and couldn't run. And so Facebook was allowed into Texas with open arms by our governor. And so he touted, "Hey, we're moving them here," right as everybody was saying, "Wait a second, they're Facebook is going woke mob," and now we've got people like Greg Abbott that we're supporting that. So we're hoping that.
To this day, there's certain books that when we try to advertise on Facebook, especially when we have a book release coming out, which we'll have 3 or 4 a month, Facebook will shoot down those ads and not let us post them, depending on what the subject of the book is. So, it's book banning, it's social media censoring, it's cancel culture. And, how ironic it is to have a rally against censorship and get canceled.
Yeah.
It's just, you just can't make this stuff up. You just can't.
So now, obviously, you've contacted Montgomery County. They're the ones who let you. They're the ones who let you host the rally there. We just had the Jan 6 rally there. And it was kind of neat to see that you guys were able to push through and get this pretty quickly as a backup. So that shows you that we have some elected officials here in Texas that are doing the right thing.
Yeah, well, there are some laws around that. It's around equal access and that kind of stuff too. So, but they did. We got a blessing from the county. I say that tongue in cheek, but we got a blessing from the county to have the event there. So. There's a lot of cleansing that needs to be at the county level too. But
you know what? If we could get one thing out of the HEB aisle, that would be I would personally go ahead and get all their enema medicine, and we would just make sure Montgomery County politics has an internal cleansing.
Well, that was intense.
I'm sure there's a lot of politics like this in other Texas counties and all over the. It's just. It's fascinating. It really is disappointing, but it's fascinating also.
Yep. Well, as we can see, Houston invades Montgomery County yet again. We've had on my side of Montgomery County, we've had our first murder in my neighborhood in years. That being said, we've got all the criminal elements running up Highway 59 out of Harris County, trying to get out of town. So the crime element that has invaded Montgomery County is also the same as the woke social media market that's invaded Montgomery County, where these guys decided to cancel on you guys and not do it in an honorable fashion. They had to basically lie to you about things. So it's one of those things. If we don't take care of these woke cities, they're going to come in and take care of us, and it's not necessarily going to be the way that we want to see that done.
Yeah, did you ever sit here thinking we'd be talking about things like this 20 years ago?
No. As a matter of fact, 20 years ago, I was still training. Well, no, 20 years ago, we were training up to go into Iraq, of all things. We just come back from Afghanistan, so I never would have thought that what I fought for over there for those people's freedoms was going to come hit us here. The fact that we've got the Marxism flag and the fact that we have laws against communism and sedition here in Texas, and yet we have seditious groups The moon and sickle is everywhere. Communism is out there. We've got the socialist Democrats, the communist Democrats. They're coming out, and then we have Republicans that they're supposed to. They're 20 years ago they were strong and firm. They were growing, and then here we find out it's been nothing but a flaccid blue pill that's kept those guys stiff and moving up there in Austin. And now now they're back to to bending over and taking it. And it's like, no, we need to have more Brian Slaytons. We need to have more Brandon Craytons that are up there fighting. We need to have more of these guys that are going to come, like Tony Tenderholt, that are going to come forward in the state house, and then on the legislative side and in the Senate. We need more Bob Halls. We need these are the guys that we physically need, and Texas is just flailing as people like Charles Butts are putting more of his Democrats in dresses and parading them out in front of folks. And when I say in dresses and high heels, I'm talking about the men. So,
Well, and to kind of stir the pot just a little bit with that conversation, we can't. We're allowing that product to happen because when we have every single member except for 3 of our legislators vote for the Speaker of the House, what are we expecting? The same guy who killed all the legislation to stop the drag queen BS, the transgender modification for children, and all that kind of stuff. When we as Republicans are voting for this stuff by not voting against it, what are we going to do? We literally have to get rid of every single incumbent that voted for Dade Phelan. And that's the only way that things are going to change. We have to make it so that we quit talking about the dollars and we start talking about the politicians.
Yeah, and I was probably less than three maybe real conservatives in the Texas legislature, and not to take issue with you, Walter, but Bob Hall, I sat in his office. He would not sign on to the Texas referendum, and neither would Brandon Creighton. So, either these guys believe in the right of self-determination or don't. I mean, so they all have problems, okay?
Yep.
And not everybody is as they appear. So it gets down to voting for the best of the worst, unfortunately. But one of our true conservatives is no longer there. Kyle Biederman, he's gone. And who was the gentleman?
You know what, Dave? This is the funniest thing ever. When I was at the state capitol in 2019, I'll never forget walking into Kyle Biederman's office. This is the best. This is the best for the day. The HEB buyer from his area up there, Fredericksburg, was in Kyle's office. Biederman's office. He had an appointment with him. And I walked in there, said, "Hey, let me." I took one of my selfies. I was doing my little lobbyist thing for the constitutional carry, which was at the time was only Rachel Malone and I for the party. I was on SREC, so I'm in my little cute suit. I walk in there, take a selfie with Kyle. We shake hands, smile the whole bit, and I said, "Hey, would you get behind Alan West becoming the state party chairman?" Would you believe that he asked the buyer, the lobbyist from HEB? He said, "Hey, can you hold on a second?" Closes the door. We go into his office and we have like a 30-minute to 45-minute conversation. And he gets up, walks out there and says, hey, we're going to have to reschedule this. And then him and I had a pretty good conversation for another 2 hours. And so whenever you talk about Kyle Biederman, Kyle Biederman literally said, "Hey," he literally said, "Hey, HEB, y'all hold off for a second. We have something that might actually work here." And Kyle, I totally miss Kyle Biederman. I loved going up there to Fredericksburg, seeing him out and about. If he was up there or in another part of the district, last time I saw him was at I think it was the Fredericksburg Tea Party meeting they had in Kerrville. They had a big event where we were pushing Chip Roy for speaker, and Sandra got a standing ovation for that one. But the fact that you're exactly right. We have people that like to play behind the scenes legislation, and nobody wants to come out up front. And that's physically where we see right now the controversy of what happened whenever they took out a lot of our grassroots activists that were running for office in the primary. And we have some of I'm the number 3 most conservative legislator in the state. Those guys are coming up saying that. And physically, we have documented proof that they lied on mailers that went around and they killed some of our people. We could have had Stephanie Click, of all people, out of the house. That would have sent a message. And yet we have the Dick Weekleys of the world and the Texans for Lawsuit Reform and all these guys that work very well with the Democrats and raise money and throw all this money into things with Karl Rove and that other group. We have all these people that are totally screwing over the base model Texan that showed up at the convention this past summer and said, this is what we want done. And we're having the same fight over and over again. And watch, this is going to be the most conservative legislative session ever, is what's going to be reported when we go into Sine Die.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it. Listen, you know, we have a pack, and in that pack had a pledge. And we've had somebody that have signed that pledge that actually violated the pledge. We will put that out. It's coming. But I am so over it with these folks that I don't care. I'm going to expose them all.
Yep, that's what we need to do. So we're going to
well, and that's exactly what we are doing here on Texas Fully Loaded. We're done playing patty cake with these traitors to our state and to our country. Don't sit here and tell us, oh well, I really did try when you didn't try hard enough. You weren't back there whipping the votes. I don't care about just your vote. You tell me why these SOBs wouldn't vote for them when you confronted them on it. And if you didn't confront them on it, then why didn't you? Because that's what we sent you, a fighter, to Austin, to Washington, D.C. to do.
Yeah. Yep. Right.
So, exactly. Well, Dave, when are you going to get Matt Gaetz or Lauren Boebert to publish?
We're working on it. I love them. I love them both. Boebert especially. My goodness. Yeah, that's great. Kind of fun to watch that stuff happen, you know, and but sure, you know, that speaker fight was interesting because again, you get to see people's true colors. And actually, I was kind of surprised. You know, Chip Roy actually stepped up to the plate. Chip Roy wouldn't sign our pledge because of the term limits issue in our pledge. He wouldn't, you know, Ted Cruz signed it, but Chip Roy wouldn't. So there you go. But Chip and I have good banter back and forth, and I'm glad he did that. But you know, I just don't think DC is fixable. So
no, actually, I'm with you, and you know, I learned a lot through your first couple of books with the Patriots of Treason. I'm drawing a blank on those, but you know, the books that you wrote that were it was a fictional reality. Man, and I told you this last year, Dave. We're watching what you wrote about 8-9 years ago play out.
It has. I mean, even to the point of people pulling people out of their cars and assaulting them. That was in one of the books early.
Yep.
I never drew my imagination I would have thought that would ever happen. So, but anyway. So, listen, I just the admission is free to our event on the 26th. But you can buy VIP if you want to meet Kyle personally and get your picture with him, and there'll be some other swag. We're gonna have food, and you know, another great thing is now we turned that into BY. This is going to be a real Texas hoedown because it's BYOB.
So I will say this: if you have received any of the Southern Star or B52 brewery brands as a gift, bring them and we will fertilize the trees, and we can leave that trash in a bag that we can drop off on their steps on our way out the door. How's that sound?
There you go. There you go. I was thinking about them needing to let them be admitted into the facility, but maybe we can do something creative with them.
Yeah. It's
we could have like a big bin, like what Texas Scorecard did with all those damn John Cornyn lanyards. Sorry, Miss Patty, I know you don't like me cussing on the show, but we just put them all in the center and then make a red flag out or something.
What's fascinating is the replies that we've gotten from all over the country. First of all, it's in Texas. Secondly, it's a brewery. And seriously, a brewery is in Texas is that woke? And apparently so. So,
I mean, Austin is. So, you know, we've got Moscow on the Colorado over there. So, you know, we're going to be there tomorrow talking with some of our favorite legislators, which is down to three now. So,
well, listen, I give credit to people like the Montgomery County Tea Party. You know, they've been sounding this alarm. about how it's slowly but surely starting to turn purple. I mean, I think even this morning I saw 2 California license plates in Conroe. You know, it's we better be careful. That's all I can say. We better be careful.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, we
Well,
appreciate
Dave-
having you on, Dave. You have an open slot anytime you want it. You just come on over here and we'll just Texas it up. All right.
Well, maybe we'll do a post rally event and see how what you guys thought about after we have it. Kyle's going to be great, and again, it's free general admission if you just want to come and listen and get to meet. We're going to have about 8 or 9 authors there. We have great books. You get to meet them. If you want to get a book, you can get their book signed. Then you're going to actually hear some of them speak, hear Kyle speak, and it'll be a great time.
It's gonna be awesome.
It will be.
There,
Hey,
square, y'all.
and my memory of Kyle was he was 17 when this incident happened, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause they tried him as an adult, right? He's 20 now. You know,
well,
so we were going to have him at the brewery, but he couldn't even drink at the brewery we were going to have him at. I will tell you this, okay? That kid has been through a lot, and spending some time like I have with him, he's a lot more astute than people give him credit for. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's well grounded, and you'll find that out.
Well, no, you could totally tell. It's part of my job was to train combat medics in the military, and that was. I looked at that kid and I said, man, I mean, the stuff he was out there doing, he was, when the police wouldn't show up and the medics wouldn't show up, you had Kyle right there. And he was at 17 doing that while his local town was being burned down. I know he didn't physically live there the full time, but that was his home away from home. That's like when I went to San Antonio or whenever I went into Houston, during all those St. George Floyd riots. So those are the things that people need to look at. This was a kid that he noticed the absence of structure, and he went in and provided that. And of all things, a felon with a gun, illegally possessing a gun, tried to kill him.
A pedophile.
I'm sorry. Yeah, a pedophile of all things.
Yeah, he actually did a service, a community service.
He in fact did a service.
Yep. Pedophiles with guns.
Yeah. So listen, let's show the world that we're not going to respond to woke cancellation, and you guys come out and support these guys, and we'll have a great time. I expect it to be a little rowdy, which is as you can imagine. So we're gonna have fun.
Yep. And we're going to take some of those advertisements, and we'll be promoting those daily on both social media and on our show here as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, y'all. Y'all have a great day, and God bless.
All right. You
see you
too,
later,
Dave.
my friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So there you have it, folks. We will have we'll have not just Kyle, but we'll have Justin Sheffield. We'll have I didn't realize Cassandra was joining the Defiance press team. So not only is she a veteran, but Project Veritas, she in Facebook, she had the internal on that. Sandra, I was going to go ahead and have another rally from our sponsors, and then
you should, and then I'll give the plug for them afterwards. How does that sound? Did you always forget that?
That sounds awesome. So.
Well, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. I want to give a huge, huge thank you to our amazing sponsors. Of course, the Montgomery County Tea Party. Be there, be square tonight at 6 o'clock, Conroe, Texas, at Citizens Grill. You guys are amazing. You don't only support this most awesome sauce show, which, I mean, why wouldn't you, right? You also hold people accountable. You make sure that our legislators are working for us and not the other way around, as it should be. So thank you for what you do for your vetting process, making sure the right people are in the right place. Y'all would have never let a George Santos onto your stage. I'll tell you that right now. He'd have been terrified of John Wirtz. Also, a huge thank you to Walter. What the world? I'm going to pretend that was a cut. Huge thank you to Skyland Companies. I just realized Walter didn't have his headphones and I can't even chastise him. Justin, you were amazing. I can't wait to spend some time with you in Austin this week. We're doing exciting stuff down in Austin. As you guys know, the inauguration is happening, which, I mean, you win some, you lose some, but you hold them accountable either way. So it's exactly what we're going to be doing from day one. That's what we do. So we're going to be down there with Justin and Matt Code, our friend from OGWA, is going to be with us as well. So we're excited about that. Some of our other amazing friends are going to be there. So make sure that you're tuning in because it's going to be a crazy schedule, but it's going to be exciting, action-packed, and we'll look like on-the-scene journalists. Like, we'll be doing everything from our cell phones and stuff. It'll be radical. That's what we do. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor of Texas Fully Loaded, let me tell you how you do that. You go to TexasFullyLoaded.com. and you can email us from there. You can go to Sandra at TexasFullyLoaded.com, Walter at TexasFullyLoaded.com, and get with us. We would love to help craft a commercial for you. Talk about something that you're passionate about. Whatever it is that we need to get out there, let us know, because we can't be here without you, and you can't be here without us, because you wouldn't be watching the show if it wasn't for the generosity of others. So time to pay it forward. Now, if you don't have something that you're selling or want to promote, that's okay. You can still support us because the fight for freedom is not free, and the fight to keep people accountable is certainly not free. So if you could go to TexasFullyLoaded.com and click on the button that says #WeThePeopleWork, or if you see us, we take checks, we take money orders, we take keys to expensive vehicles. It doesn't really matter. We're not picky.
As long as the tank is full. Hey, speaking of the tank is full,
that's the key.
Folks, would you look at this right here? This this is called a breakfast cheesecake. I just wanted everyone to be able to physically look at this.
I had an Atkins shake. Are you kidding me?
I just found out that this is actually totally fat-free, and the sugar is it's unreal. It's the coolest thing ever. So
I had an Atkins shake, and I have keto coffee.
And as you should, we trust me, we've been in those traffic jams.
Say it, Walter.
We've been in those traffic jams.
Noted. Miss Patty. So you know what the stink part is it's not sunny. It's very cloudy and gray. Oh, I'm almost to my second favorite place. I might have to just stop in there. Becky's.
Oh, check it out! Look, the Kingwood Tea Party is asking for people to donate to cover the cost for them to go to the inauguration. Yeah, well, oh, good Lord, hey, we call that conservative socialism. Remember?
I mean, we always didn't say that. We're like, I don't know. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep my comments in my pockets. They were very kind to me when I first started. That's all I'm going to say.
There you go. There you go. Well, we see that in this region, the Montgomery County Tea Party is the only Tea Party that physically fights for the platform that they helped to build. And that was physically there in a in a very confrontational manner. You saw that we worked very well with the King Street Patriots, which is what you saw with True the Vote, and I believe that was out of the Woodlands, if I'm not mistaken. So, bam, we've had Miss Patty. Miss Patty actually has to do a security upgrade every single year. So whenever every single year she has to go to a clandestine area to get rebooted. So when we finally see her back in a month, we are going to see some new duds with her new studs. So that's
She is essentially going to look like they're going to come back looking like Ken and Barbie. It's weird.
Ken and Barbie. Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun. So yeah, tonight at the Montgomery County Tea Party, you will be seeing that Ken Ernest will be speaking. He is he's just one of our locals that has become a awesome patriot for what the cause is. And whenever I say that, I mean, you know, just standing up for the American constitutional values of America and of Texas. So Steve Toth is going to give us a little brief legislative update, and we will see. We obviously haven't seen Morgan Luttrell come by, or other than to come in and leave real quick. Dan Crenshaw probably won't come back again after his 23 million views. So,
you know, no, I'm not.
Mm-hmm. So we're currently working on some things right now. There's a lot of our legislators that worked against veterans this past year, and they thought they could keep it hidden. We actually have the physical documentation, and that's what we're going to roll on. It's not going to be a bunch of people with suppositions, and you're not going to see a bunch of people that are able to jump on and defend themselves like they do by saying, "Oh, this is the most conservative legislative session we've ever had." You know, the bottom line is the Republicans came into play here in Texas in the 1990s, and since that time frame, we've been trying to weed the Democrats out of the party ever since. So we have not had a truly conservative session in the state that have been alive, and that's 1972. So
here it comes. Get your shot ready, Simon. You know what really grinds my gears is when they were constantly perpetuating that BS about this being the most conservative legislative session that they've ever had. And it was like, wait a minute, that's a crock of crap. They're like, but we got the heartbeat bill. That's not what we asked for. What what was one of the we got the one about elections. They were going to secure our elections. They haven't secured crap.
Hang on, my favorite
Constitutional carry.
My favorite was when Morgan Luttrell was in Grimes County, and he made the statement to a group of people about the heartbeat bill. And he says, well, because somebody asked a pro-choice type question, I guess, and maybe he didn't understand what he was speaking in front of. But he then made the statement, which we have the recording of, by the way. He made the statement, well, you can still get an abortion for the first 6 weeks. So whenever they brought in the whole rape and incest thing, it was like, whoa, wait a second, what? You know, he actually made that statement, and that's, you know, we had other veterans who defended the ability of that innocent life, even though it may not have been made innocently, it was created. And with that being said,
you know what my favorite one about abortion was, though, Walter?
With that being said, they went after this guy on radio. They spent close to $750,000 on a state house race for a guy that was a U.S. Army veteran with 2 tours in Afghanistan. The Republican establishment of Dade Phelan, Steve Toth, Stephanie Click, Briscoe Kane, the Texans for Lawsuit Reform went after this one gentleman, and they will be given the ability to tell their sides of the story as we once we put it out, because it'll all be laid out there. And that way people can't, you know, we had some people that came by. Steve Toth apparently had some people paper his part of town, and because they were spreading some truths about what was going on. He has a different opinion of what the facts are. So the bottom line is that the facts don't care about your feelings. They're just the facts. Okay, Sandra.
I'm sorry, I still love that. No, I was just going to say there was another guy during the primaries that tried to defend his position on baby killing as a Republican. And that was hysterical. Do you remember that prized and shining moment in San Antonio, Walter? What was that jackwagon's name? You hated him. We called him Knuckles.
He was your opponent, wasn't he?
He was one of my opponents. He literally stood on the stage It was hysterical. He started
Homan?
sweating bullets. Eric Homan.
Eric Holman, that's right. Yeah, he came out of nowhere. He's the guy that had all the cool guy videos of look at me on the border. You know, I just got out of the military and I'm doing such and such. It's really funny how people just got out of the military and then all of a sudden they moved to an area because the border was the topic and they needed a Hispanic of all things. And so all these Hispanics jumped into your race because they were going to be able to ones to be like what Miss Cassie Garcia did whenever she raised the $10+ million or that was much was spent. And they went all around the country raising money for the party, but none of it was really ever spent in their district, truthfully in their district. So, people changed their names. They learned a couple of phrase words because they really didn't speak Spanish, but they wanted to convert the Spanish speaker. And that's where we have people like Jenny Thatcher, who physically was boots on the ground with Anna Holcomb down there in Zapata County that really did things. And whenever you have fake conservatives come down and say, "Oh, we've been down here for years," there was no cat parks down there. That's a lie. There was no Weston Martinez down there except for a couple of visits. So that was a lie. They didn't work with these people. No. And matter of fact, he actually, from what I'm understanding now, he worked with the Democrats to throw out Republicans yet again. He brought Project Veritas in to get rid of the one Republican that they didn't like running against Joaquin Castro. They did
the one who did the best numbers in the history of the district. That guy.
Yeah, the one that his name was Mauro Garza. They basically pulled a Carmen Montiel, Kevin McCarthy on him like they did with Carmen Montiel in 2018 against Sheila Jackson Lee. These, and then they go back and say, "Look what we did! Look what we did!" Dude, like the fact that people they're proud of themselves, and the fact that people don't look at what's physically going on, what's truthfully going on. This is the problem.
I just have a real problem. Well, I just wish these people would just do what they say that they're going to do. Don't call yourself a fighter and then go up there and only vote.
Well, I'll say it and I'll say it again. The Golden Triangle Republican women and then the Spindletop Republican women, those are the groups that support Dade Phelan the most. So
Walter, they get a lot of privileges.
Well,
with Dade Phelan being the Speaker of the House, nobody knows what those privileges are, but they get them.
Yep, and you know what? Those people like to put on their diamonds and pearls, have their $25, $3 chicken dinners at a hotel, and do something and put it all on for a fake cause. But they're not the ones out there working the elections. They're not the ones that are out there physically knocking on the doors. So those are the parts where they may be making some things happen, but we'll see. Right now is where the legislative rule changes can be happening. And this is where we need to see our people the most. We saw physically what happened in Austin. We saw what Dade Phelan did by moving up the vote whenever he knew that people were coming to Austin. The hundreds and thousands of people were coming to Austin to see the floor debate, to see what was going to be happening. They wanted to hurry up and get it, and that was a middle finger to the grassroots supporters and the actual ones that are physically doing the work in the party. These guys are owned by the Dick Weekleys of the world. They're owned by Texans for Lawsuit Reform. They're owned by Alonzo Cantu, and they want to stay in their hierarchy, and they want to make sure that they have a monarchy type system like what we fled from in Britain.
I have so many things to unpack that it's not even worth trying to do in 20 minutes. So I won't. In fact, I'm just going to change the subject altogether, and I'm going to pull a subject out of my rear that is actually happening that you'll be able to pick right up on. So as you guys know, in less than 1 month is the Super Bowl. Now, Why does this matter to people who do not watch the NFL anymore? I'm going to tell you why it matters. If you watch your local news right now, especially if you're here in Texas, the Cowboys have a slim chance of a prayer at making it into through this wild card weekend. This is wild card weekend. Friday, I believe it was, I made fun of Dak Prescott because he was all butthurt because he was going to have to cancel his Disney cruise because it was his wild card game ended up being on a Monday. And I agree. No one's more shocked than I or any of your fans that you've made it into a wild card weekend. But today they made the statement on Spectrum One that it's been 27 years since the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl. Then they went on to say that's probably longer than half of the people in the studio have been alive. Then they go on to say, but hey, remember, the Cowboys have won the most Super Bowls as a team than any other team in the NFL. Well, that's fantastic. Nobody's alive to remember. That's unfortunate. Now, here's where it gets even better. The problem is that this is what is filling the news feeds right now. This is what everyone they're building up the buzz. They're building up the excitement. The commercials are getting ready to roll out. Everything is happening to get you excited, to get you glued into this game. Which, don't get me wrong, I was that guy. I loved football until they started this kneeling BS. But here's the bigger problem: is that it is the number one sex trafficking day of the year.
Which is funny. Exactly right. And that's been one of my, whenever it came to Houston, I was actually in the military at that time, and it came to Houston. That's whenever I learned about, the rape trucks, the things that go on in hotels, how they're trading children, how, right now you'll see that on social media, different apps, this is the time that they recruit the kids so they could go pluck them out and stick them in a hotel somewhere and make money off of them. And this is what the horrible part of it is. The NFL is trying to combat that, but notice what they're doing. They're not talking about it consistently. They're slowly building upon it, and then they can afterwards say, "Hey, look what we helped! Look what we did." It is the number one most sex trafficking event throughout the world because people come to these parlors, they gamble, they do all that kind of stuff, and this is physically what the perverse part that comes out.
You want a really disgusting 5-second thought? When you realize that in no other sporting event or other event televised in the history of the world, the commercials for the Super Bowl are the most expensive and they're the longest lasting. Now, why should those two things even matter? They're hysterical commercials. Don't get me wrong. I'm certain that when we Monday morning quarterback the commercials, because we get to see them, even if you don't watch the game, you still get to see them and they're funny. Because what happens in the longest commercial breaks in on the air is that's long enough for a young child to be raped. That is long enough for somebody to run out of an event, run to one of these rape trucks, get their rocks off really quick, and run back inside before their wife notices that they went to go and get another beer.
Yep.
How does that make you feel?
Well,
pretty vile.
Not to mention, it's these box trucks that drive around the town. So it's going to be held in. Right. Well, the folks that are with them. So and it happens in large scale. There's whole competitions. It's almost like a chicken fighting contest. That kind of stuff. So bottom line, where's that going to be held at? It's going to be, is it Phoenix or Tucson or?
I believe it's in Phoenix. Well, yeah, I believe it's in Phoenix.
Okay, so Arizona is going to host it. We were just in Arizona with Sheriff Mark Daniels. We were there with Kathleen Wynn.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah, that's where it's at. They've got a lot of good people that have been working out of there. That's where our good friend Joe Arpaio is. Speaking of, you need to, you got enough time. You need to give him a buzz. So either way. These are the.
Yes,
these are the
you can get
Dave's
Sheriff Arpaio's books on Dave's website. Dave is actually who put Sheriff Arpaio and I in contact together. Okay, go on.
Yeah, well, I think he. I think he just. He was like, man, he's like, Bacon Master, you got it all, and so I said, well, we'll let you have this side of the fun.
Shut up.
So, but no, Rachel, you're exactly correct. There's lots of unaccompanied minors that are available. We're seeing that right now, and here's something I wanted to get onto that not a lot of people know about. Tomorrow, Eagle Lake, Texas, is going to be hosting the Endeavors, which is supposedly a ministry. It works much like Catholic Charities. They house the illegal aliens. They house veterans, things like that. Of all people that are on the board, Max Lucado is on the board. and they are trying to take over a nursing home in Eagle Lake, specifically for the purpose of being able to house. They say boys. They don't say minors. They say boys. And remember, one of the problems we have with the illegal aliens that are coming into the country is when you have a 23-year-old that's clean shaven or doesn't have a lot of face fur. They come out and they say, "Hey, I'm 17," or "Hey, I'm 16," or "I'm 15." I've had 40-year-olds, 40-year-old men with gray hair. I'm 14 years old. You're like, dude, lose it. Put the cuffs on, stick them in the back of the truck, and go. This is what's going on in Eagle Lake right now. Eagle Lake, Texas. They are trying to. They've got a good conservative city council. They've got a good conservative mayor. And right now is the time. They have a horrible party. The party chairman there is just like ours, and he's trying to owe us as a non. It's a city council thing. We're not involved in that. And so the bottom line is, Eagle Lake. If you could do anything, contact the Eagle Lake city council or the city manager's office and say, "Hey, we don't want more illegals being brought in," because these folks go to the schools. And over there, you have several different school districts that are consolidated into the one, and that's where these boys would be traveling to for schooling. So, and the other thing is they can't keep them there either. So it allows us to funnel more of the illegals into the town. It allows this nonprofit to take our tax money and host those people here. Whenever they, bottom line, it's an invasion. They should be turned around with the invasion clause. But yet we have no government official from federal, state, or local. Some local that are doing that, and on the local that are doing that, people like where you just went through with Sheriff Roy Boyd. He's one of the ones that will arrest whoever, to include a district attorney's office of like Starr County, where they were illegally trafficking people for 50 times in the county, the state-owned vehicle. And they made sure that they didn't pull him over in Goliad County because Sheriff Roy Boyd would have made a mockery out of that. So the cartels are moving,
and rightfully so.
Yeah, but and you'll see the cartels are physically working around what they're doing. Rachel brings up the issue of the homeless veterans living out on the streets. Well, you also need to look at the fact that we have all these illegals that came into the country. Guess who else is living on the streets? They are.
So this morning, Spectrum One ran a brief news story about the New York City mayor. I believe his name is Eric Bolin, something along those lines.
Eric Bolin.
And he came to El Paso to see what in the heck is going on over there also. And he's, because, of course, we've sent many busloads of people to New York. And he came after his visit and he said, "Look, I ain't blaming Texas anymore. I'm blaming the federal government. The federal government is not doing their job in securing this border. It's not fair to Texans. It's not fair to people in New York. It's not fair to you call them migrants." He said it's not fair to anybody that's involved in this situation. This is 100% at the hands of the federal government. How about them apples?
Yeah, no, totally. That's the issue we're seeing.
And we hear all the time when we bring people down to the border and we let them see it firsthand, when we let them see what we see, when we let them know what we know, they say, we hear about it on the news. You think you know until you physically see it. And I think that that's what's actually happening. I think I'm ecstatic. I had no idea that he was coming. I was ecstatic that he came down. And I'm ecstatic at the report that he gave out. I didn't get the whole thing, of course. I only heard what was on the news. It was while I was driving. I couldn't go back and research verbatim what he said. But he got the take home that people need to get. The federal government is not doing their job. And the states are the ones that are having to pay for it.
And what's really comical about the Biden's visit to El Paso. So prior to getting there, the streets were cleaned up. They moved all the homeless people off the streets. They moved them into the back alleys, into the other areas. And what did we see? Biden did not get to see the crisis. So
of course not.
His dementia was overwhelmed, and again, the federal government was even hiding the true story. The bureaucrats were hiding the true story from the president himself. Where was the Border Patrol Union Council? Where was Brandon Judd and those guys from Texas that are a part of his team?
They don't care.
Where were they? Because they did not. He didn't go through the shelters like AOC. He didn't sit on the floor. He didn't talk to the people. He didn't see. He saw a bunch of brown people, and it turns out those were actual El Paso residents. So whenever he saw that, he probably said, "Oh, you know what?" He probably asked where the breakfast tacos were. I know that's what Jill Biden had said.
That's what Jill was asking. Yeah, that's
Yep.
what Jill wanted to know. Yeah, it's my favorite was when after that happened, the city officials came back and said, "Oh, we would never ever do that because that's not who we are. We would never sanitize the things that we don't want the president to see." That would have been awful on our part, and where everyone's like, literally, we got the videos of like those cleaning crews coming through. Like, I don't know what you want us to say.
Yeah.
Stupid, no frackies.
Nothing to see here.
I mean, like
So.
literally, what? How much more has to be exposed? Oh, but speaking of being exposed. 15 minutes walk. Oh my gosh. Speaking of being exposed with their trousers down, if you will, all of the how many batches now are we up to of files that Biden has been hiding in his home?
And how long have they been there?
At the minimum since he was last president. I saw a meme this weekend, and I cracked up laughing. And it was Hunter Biden. He had he looked all sad and depressed and everything. He's like, "My dad's gonna kill me. I was supposed to clean out the garage this weekend."
Yeah.
But look, the whole classified documents thing apparently is the end thing to do if you're in federal government. I didn't know that. Walter, I'm certain that if you'd had a whole bunch of classified documents and they came knocking at your door, they'd already electrified you. Same with me, same with anybody else that I know.
So just so
that's
you
why
know,
you have a clearance.
Just so you know, there was a big fire in the backyard, and anything that might possibly have ever been turned black and went off in the wind. So,
I mean, I talk about my grandparents a lot. You guys know that, but my granddad was like super secret squirrel. Like when they lived overseas, they had to live on base and they had to have Marines surrounding them in case they were invaded. I mean, this is during, Cold War time frame and all that kind of stuff. Because of how high granddad's security clearance was and the information that he had as a cryptologist, he was to be shot on sight if they were being invaded. And so, that was kind of the air marker for when I was a teenager and I started dating military. The very first thing out of granddad's mouth is if he says he can't talk about it, that's where the conversation ends. And there are just some things you don't get to know. And, I remember my mom used to always say granddad would go behind a door and that's all we knew for a long time. Yeah, there's a sense of responsibility. And I'm saying this because there's a sense of responsibility and pride in these men and women who have these clearances, who literally have ruined their families, even in some cases, to keep this level of confidentiality. And the president of the United States just pooped all over them, just like he did his pants.
Well, and just like he did our folks in Afghanistan and everywhere else that they pulled out.
Absolute disgrace. In the freaking garage, in the trunk of a car. Come on, folks.
I believe it was a 1967 Corvette, or was it a 57? Either way.
Doesn't even have an alarm system on it. It has locks on it that anybody can pop.
Yeah,
I can even hot rod that car.
You can hot rod that car or hot wire.
That's it. I could do that too.
Okay.
Be proud, Mr. Dennis.
Yep. Speaking of,
would you quit playing with the freaking camera? That's what
I happen to know where there's a spare Corvette, and the residents aren't even in Texas right now.
Interesting.
I think it's the year after the anniversary edition too, so that's the even better part. Not that I know Corvettes or anything. So
Yeah, no, not even a little bit. Oh my gosh.
what's up?
No, I'm just waiting on traffic.
You just got
Told
to
you I was
jump
gonna
out there.
stop at my second favorite place.
Uh-huh. Which would be where?
Bucky's. Walter, come on. Get your head in the game.
You're wrong direction. Look at you. Just add 25 minutes.
Just add 25 minutes.
No, you just
It's
did.
fine.
So anyway,
It's fine.
yeah, well, Bucky's fudge will never budge.
I never get the fudge.
Yeah. So anyway, yep, we have Miss Patty. She knows exactly what we're getting into. She's got the Obama year documents that she never turned in sitting in the trunk of that thing, which happens to be a very small trunk, by the way.
The funny part, Miss Patty, is she has no idea what you and I discussed earlier. Zero.
Mm-hmm.
That's even funnier.
Well, she did send me a picture, so we're going to talk about that. I didn't get a phone call and a plane ticket. I should have been dropped out airborne. I could have kicked some cartel and patootie on that one.
Oh yeah, well.
So anyway, tonight will be a fun night. I'll be doing my part over there. San Antonio is going to be a riff. El Paso is going to be a riff. Austin is going to be a riff. So thank God there's nothing going on in Houston and Dallas. So it looks like we'll be all over the state.
It is going to be exciting. You know, Walter, one of the things I'm most excited for tomorrow anyway is there's going to be the Taste of Texas. And I believe there's 10 or 15 different Texas barbecue. Walter, you're giving me whiplash over here. There's at least 10 or 15 different barbecue places. So our very own Texas Bacon Master will no doubt be giving us the look. Would you stop? Yeah. He's going to be giving us a lowdown on the Texas barbecue at the inauguration. How does that sound? Oh, that didn't make it any better.
Yeah. Oh no, trust me. That yeah. Well, no, that's exactly right. Taste of Texas. That's going to be. That's one of Dan Patrick's favorite people. Happens to be a good man. Cannot wait to see Mr. Hindy there. So that's going to be fun. We will see a lot of our folks. I am supposed to be talking with Brian Slayton. He apparently, I believe he's coming on around 10 or so. We're going to have him first of the hour because all the inaugural garbage goes off at 11. Starts at 11, and then we'll go eat. That's going to be the big time for us. Is to y'all going to see me with my plate.
Is anyone shocked by that? Show of hands. Who's shocked?
Show of hands. Who's got who can feed that? I need ammunition. You know.
Oh my gosh, this is like the worst camera angle I've ever had, and I use it all the time.
Yep.
Like asleep, trying to keep Texas fully loaded running.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's how the sausage is made, right? That's what they say.
That's how the sausage is made.
Yep. So we will be providing the bacon whenever we get up there. It'll be fun. It'll be exciting.
It will.
There will be some exciting things they're going to be coming to our purview the next couple of weeks. I am reaching out. We've got some, like I said, the backstory of what happened last year. We want to make sure that the legislators are front and center, and that their people, now that they're watching what's going on in Austin, they're going to learn the true backstory of what happened the last election cycle here in Texas, because we have the promises made on video. And then we're going to be able to put those with the promises kept or unkept. This is how you hold your people accountable. Stop listening to the horse's mouth when it's the horse's butt that has been leading the fight the whole entire time. It's time to start listening to what they've said and what they're producing. So my dad always said wishful thinking. There's, you can poop in one hand and wish in the other and see which one fills up faster. Well, you can make a campaign promise in one hand and poop in the other and see which one fills up faster. And that's what we physically been saying.
And that's literally all we've been saying. So yeah, this is we've been talking. You guys heard us talk about We the People work for the last 7 months now, and now you guys are going to get to see it live and in action. We can't just get on here and complain. You have to hold these people accountable. This is our it's just our state. Whether you're whether you're in Texas or one of the other 49ers wishing you were in Texas.
That's right.
Hold your state accountable. I'm done. We can't have the U.S. without the 50 states' rights. States' rights. It's all about states' rights.
That is correct. And
I'm done with you.
well, I just gotta add. Yeah, we've and if you haven't seen it, Rachel says it right here. Rachel has been. She just got her urgent message from Speaker McCarthy. They need more money. If you'll notice, that's exactly Karl Rove has your number, and he gets paid by how many text messages go out. Whenever you're sending millions upon millions, you get paid 21 cents a text or whatever, or 10 cents a text. Either way, it's honey, they're making money off of all your information, and they're going to use it against you.
Yep. Yeah, these people suck, and their whole entire goal is to make sure that we the people get shut out, to make sure that you lose hope, and to make sure that you realize that they want to be your daddy.
But the whole question,
they do a terrible job at it.
The real question is, who's your daddy?
Is that though?
And on Martin Luther King Day today, we will be discussing and reminding people, make sure you go to your favorite Department of Public Safety office and get your Texas passport. Only here in Texas can you actually physically have a real Texas passport.
Do they still make those, or you pulled something out from the 70s again?
No, this has all of my information in there. So yeah, it's I can't totally put it all up there. But just remember the official Texas passport, folks. Yep.
I got nothing. Ken, I apologize to you every single day. We appreciate you loving us so much that you put the show on the air every day. Oh, gosh. Oh, man.
Well,
we want to thank our huge sponsors, of course, Skyline Companies, Justin and the team. You guys are amazing. Montgomery County Tea Party. If you guys are interested in becoming a commercial sponsor, then please give us a jangalang. We would love to talk to you about it. If you don't want to have a commercial, or you don't want people to publicly know that you support insanity, but want to support We the People Work, go to TexasFullyLoaded.com, click on hashtag We the People Work, or when you see us around, just hold us a little something. We aren't running for office, so we do what we want. We're gangsters.
Well, if you need to get in, good. Get inside and make that happen. I don't want to. Anyway, I know what happens in that car of yours. So there we go, folks. So over the course of the next few days, I will be down at the state capitol. I will be met by people such as Matt Cody, and we will be with the Oil and Gas Workers Association. We'll be with Skyline Companies. We will physically be with. Yes, Simon, you're exactly correct. I'm the rude dude, but because she'd never leave if I didn't. But we'll be with. We are going to have Brian Slayton on. We're going to be in a meeting with Bob Hall on Wednesday. So we'll cover some of his Q&A, but he has a new movie out called Power Up, Grid Down, and it is about the electrical infrastructure in the state of Texas, and how how things are not moving as we thought. Neat thing is, Dennis Quaid was supposed to be narrating this. I'm not sure if he's still going to be there or not, but there are some good things that will be coming about. So it won't just be the festivities. We will be talking to some folks, finding out the truth about what they will be about, and we will see how they go forward. Got my guy Matt. Looks like he is in his vehicle now. So trouble will be at the Capitol tomorrow. As far as the Tea Party meeting is concerned, actually, Miss Patty, I'm trying to get Brian Slayton down to meet with Kyle Rittenhouse at the anti-censorship rally, since Kyle is what drew all this bad attention, all this bad attention to those breweries that just the woke mob just took them over, injected them with things. Folks, I'm going to leave it here. We're going to go into the fun part of the broadcast where I get to play a couple of commercials outgoing. And physically, folks, this is what we need to be fighting for. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll be picking it up. We will be on Montgomery County Tea Party. Will be tonight, 6 o'clock. By the 6:30 is when we're going to start the show online. So that being said, come on with us. Come on with us. And that's it, folks. Enjoy the rest of the day.